The cracks are definitely appearing in the plaster of the wall of mass illegal immigration, and we'll set aside the topic of mass legal migration or immigration for the time being. Let's focus on this business of mass illegal immigration, the grief that it is causing people the length and breadth of Ireland, and the fact that there is a shift happening. More and more people are recognising it. More and more people are acknowledging it as it affects more and more people. Now, you're going to see an interesting video right now. This is Johnny Buckley, who is an MLA for the DUP, the Democratic Unionist Party in Stormont out of Belfast, dressing down Sinn Féin and the SDLP for failing their nationalist voters by backing mass illegal immigration. Now, he's going to be laying out what many of you know and what many of you believe. But the fact is that he's doing it so vocally and so vehemently in such a public platform is interesting, especially off the back of Labour's hammering at the polls last week by reform, to the point whereby Keir Starmer has almost shifted. Well, he hasn't shifted at all, but he's giving the appearance that he's shifting to the right wing because he realises he's talking about becoming an island of strangers if something isn't done to address the scourge of mass illegal immigration. So, Johnny Buckley has picked up the torch and ran with it in Stormont, and we're going to hear what he has to say. Oh, he's jumped the gun a little bit. Let me get this back. So, this is Johnny speaking to a pretty empty house, it must be said, but he's laying it down. It's on public record, and you can make of this what you like. So let's hear from Johnny Buckley, MLA.
The penny has dropped. The issue of uncontrolled and illegal immigration has been a priority for the people of Northern Ireland and right across the United Kingdom for years, but fell on deaf ears. Deaf ears in this party from parties like the Alliance, Sinn Féin and the SDLP. Silence from a UK government, whether it be Conservative or Labour. Their inaction has caused catastrophic damage to the social fabric of the very communities that we represent. How much longer were we expected to stand by in silence? How much longer would our communities be ignored, their concerns dismissed, and our borders treated like optional guidelines?
Interesting. Now, you may be watching this thinking, well, Johnny Buckley, he doesn't speak for me. He's a unionist politician based out of Northern Ireland or the north of Ireland. He doesn't speak for me. And up here, we don't seem to have it just as bad as down south, as they say. You know what I'm talking about. Most people actually that are piling into the south are coming via Belfast. They're coming over into Belfast and then they're heading south. However, along certain border points, Dungannon, Portadown, Armagh, many people in those places, Strabane, are saying the same things as is being said right across Ireland. Our communities are unrecognisable. We don't feel safe walking the streets. We are deeply concerned about the massive influx, predominantly of men, it must be said, into our communities that don't speak the language, that mill around, that intimidate people. I'm not saying it's everybody's doing that, but you can't get away from the fact that there's so many stories in so many places, the north, south, east, west and middle of Ireland. They're all saying the same thing. All saying the same thing. And what Johnny Buckley's saying here, you'll hear more of it. But it doesn't matter what your political leanings are. It doesn't matter who you vote for. You're getting this. It doesn't matter if you're a unionist, an independent, a nationalist, a Republican, whatever. It doesn't matter, because it's going to affect you whether you like it or not. It doesn't matter who you vote for. This is what you're getting. It's happening in the UK. It's happening in Ireland. And the only people that aren't being affected by this are the traitors and the treacherous rats that occupy so-called positions of power, whether it be in Stormont or whether it be in the Dáil or whether it be in Westminster or Holyrood in Scotland. They aren't affected, but you are. So, let's hear what else Johnny has to say.
Rather than sovereign lines. Keir Starmer just yesterday talked about we risk becoming an island of strangers. My goodness, what a hefty defeat in an election could actually bring forward in terms of the Prime Minister finally waking up and smelling the coffee.
We risk becoming an island of strangers. Who can identify with that? Maybe some people are saying, well, I can't. It seems okay around my place. Yeah, for now. How many more small villages and small towns all over Ireland are now coming out and taking to the streets in their thousands? All saying the same thing. All with the same concerns. And they're not extremists. They're normal, everyday working people. Young and old, rich and poor, from all points of political spectrums or for no point at all in a political spectrum. They're all being affected. So Starmer's got a shock and he's adjusted his policies accordingly. But what will it take for a shock to come in the Dáil?
In many communities it is already like that. Go to some of our working class communities throughout Northern Ireland, Unionist or nationalist towns, or indeed those that don't prescribe to either. Their communities have been destroyed by the havoc of illegal immigration and indeed quotas that have fast outpaced the services that they represent. I see the shaking of the head from Sinn Féin. And be under no illusion, you're completely out of step with many in the nationalist community.
Wow, that's quite a statement. Can they argue with it? Sinn Féin shaking their heads at his speech and him pointing at them and saying, hang on, you're completely out of step with most people in the nationalist community. I can't speak for Sinn Féin or nationalist voters, but what I can say is this, that of all these videos and uploads that have been put onto this channel, and there's hundreds of them now, and thousands of comments have been left under them by people that are vexed, frustrated, angry and in despair and disillusioned and let down terribly. And the party that seems to be the one that's letting them down most, or the one that's causing most eyebrows to be raised, is Sinn Féin. And the words treacherous and traitorous are two words that are almost synonymous with that party based on the feedback that I'm getting on these videos. Are people out of touch? Are they out of touch? Or is it just a small minority that is blowing this up into a big thing? But what a position to be in for a unionist to be standing calling out nationalist parties to say that they're out of step with their nationalist voter base. And let's face it, most nationalists, hardcore nationalists, would agree with this. They would agree because it's affecting everybody.
Who are facing severe pressures, public pressures in terms of their public services, can't get access to their GPs, can't get access to EDs, put to the back of a queue while interpreters come to our hospitals. That is a result of your reckless policies towards border security. Whether we look at school places, how many of our constituents have been denied access in local schools? Why? Because they're put at the back of the queue. Members, this is a grave issue.
This ringing any bells? Can't get a GP appointment, can't see a doctor, can't get a school place for your kids, feeling like an alien in your own town. Sound familiar? It's a blueprint that's being followed, and it's not just in Ireland or the UK. It's happening in France, it's happening in Spain, it's happening in Germany, Sweden. Look at Sweden if you want to take a case study But
and something that has to be addressed. The National Audit Office yesterday, 400 million has been spent to house illegal and asylum seekers in Northern Ireland, 4 times the original indication. That is ridiculous. But yet you're happy to splash out on these policies and then come to this House calling for more money for public services when you're literally supporting policies that are bleeding public services dry. It's time you woke up. I welcome the fact that the Prime Minister seems to essentially be accepting their failure in office, and indeed that of Conservatives, and we will hold them to account to ensure that they do just that.
Held to account, address these issues. Is it all talk? Will anything be done? I do feel personally that there is a shift happening right at this time all over Ireland. People are just at the end of their tether. And again, it doesn't matter your demographic. It doesn't matter where you live specifically. It doesn't matter what your political persuasions are or your leanings are. This is affecting everybody. And there's no getting away from it. The elephant in the room, the elephant is getting bigger and the room is getting smaller, and people have nowhere to go now. These issues are affecting everybody. So let me know what you think below. Was Johnny out of line calling out nationalists being a unionist? Was he out of line, or was he bang on the money on this particular issue? This particular issue. And there's many unionist politicians have sat back silently as well, by the way, and kept their mouths shut because they don't want to risk their position, they don't want to risk their seat, they don't want to risk their coin. Cuts both ways. So let me know what you think below. If you enjoyed this content, subscribe to the channel, cut and paste the link, share it in various groups, do whatever you want with it, spread it around, let people make their own decisions. Consider joining the channel if you haven't already done so. Become a channel member. That'll get you access to a weekly Q&A that I do with channel members, where people can leave me comments directly to discuss and look at stories that haven't been covered or I haven't got round to doing through the week, and also ask me questions directly. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? What's your opinion on this? And I record a weekly video that's uploaded on a Wednesday night for channel members. But in the meantime, all the other content, all the other news content throughout the week is, of course, available for everybody to access freely on this channel. So for now, I'm Rick Munn, No Risk, No Reward Media, over and out.